Hey there, it's Jenna from the Intern Hustle. And if I were to ask you, tell me about a time you failed, or tell me about a time when you demonstrated leadership skills, or tell me about a time you had to deal with a difficult customer, would you be prepared to answer those questions? Well, in this video, I'm going to give you a framework to help you craft your answers to these popular behavioral interview questions that usually start with, tell me about a time when, or give me an example of, or what would you do if? And if you're a student or recent grad, this video is specifically for you. Maybe you don't have a ton of professional experience yet. How are you supposed to come up with answers to all of these professional questions in an interview? Don't worry, I am going to walk you through it. Hit that like button to help me reach even more students just like you who are seeking advice on internships, interview skills, and career advice. And don't forget to subscribe for new videos every single week on this channel. Companies like to ask behavioral questions in an interview because the idea is that your past behavior is a good predictor of your future behavior and how you would perform for them if you were to get an internship or a job with them. They are trying to determine if you will be successful in the role that they are hiring for by getting a glimpse into your past. All right. If you've ever tried to tackle these behavioral interview questions before, then you've likely come across the STAR framework, which is an acronym that helps give you a structure for answering these questions. It is probably the most popular framework out there, although there are many that people tend to use. But maybe you've learned about the STAR framework from your campus career center, and it is a good framework. But I want to share, in my opinion, a way to make it even one step better. Add a T to the end of STAR so that now it is the START framework. So with STAR, you have situation, task, action, result. And those are to help you frame the answer to a question that you're asked. The final T in the START framework stands for tie-in. This part is key because it's how you tie your results and competencies back to the job or the internship that you're applying for. It demonstrates why you are the person that they should hire. But let's back up for a second. Why do you even need a framework to follow in the first place? What makes these behavioral interview questions so special that they get their own framework? I've said it many times before in my videos, and that is that when it comes to interviewing, stories sell. People remember stories a heck of a lot better than they remember facts. Just use the musical Hamilton as an example. A lot more people now understand the history of Alexander Hamilton because of his story and how it was put into a popular musical that is memorable. It's a lot more interesting than just reading facts about him in a textbook. A framework like STAR or START helps you put your experience into a story format and ensure that you touch on the key points that an interviewer is looking for in your response to their questions. So to get into some examples of how you can answer behavioral interview questions as a student with little or no professional experience, let's walk through a couple tell me about a time questions. And if you stick around to the end of this video, I will be sharing a bonus tip for how you can make answering these interview questions even easier for yourself in the future. First thing I want you to do is to come up with a story brain dump, pulling from experience that you have with volunteer work, part-time jobs, internships, creative side hustle projects, participation on a sports team, group projects for a college class, school clubs, and organizations. You get the idea. Chances are you have experience from one, if not multiple of these. And notice that the experience does not have to come from a job or an internship. You can draw from your educational and extracurricular experiences as well. And any good employer would both understand and expect you to do so as a student. If you've watched my videos on resumes, then you're already familiar with my master brain dump resume method for coming up with the accomplishment statement bullet points for your resume. Well, this story brain dump is very similar to that. If you've already done this master brain dump resume from my other videos, then start there and see what stories you've already come up with that you can use while interviewing. To help you come up with some stories, here are some prompts that you can use to get started. Jot these down on paper or open up a Google Doc and leave space to brainstorm these stories from your experience that you can expand upon using that START framework in an interview. All right, some prompts. A time when you were responsible for a big achievement or something that you're proud of. A time when you went above and beyond. A time when you made a big mistake or failed. A time when you solved a problem. A time when you dealt with a difficult person. This could be a classmate, coworker, manager, customer, teammate, coach, etc. A time when you had to navigate or adapt to big change. And a time when you had to manage or prioritize numerous tasks or responsibilities. Hopefully you're taking notes. For each of these prompts, just start by writing down a phrase that summarizes the story in your life. Don't worry about putting it into the START framework just yet. And understand that some of the stories that you come up with could apply to multiple prompts and ultimately multiple behavioral interview questions that you may be asked in an interview. That's great. Just try to get at least one unique story per prompt if you can to give yourself a good baseline of stories to pull from during an interview. Another way to come up with stories is to pull up a job description for the jobs or the internships that you're interested in and take notes on what they're looking for in a candidate. Do they emphasize strong communication skills, or do they put more of a focus on problem solving or leadership? Job descriptions can give you some great clues for the types of soft skills that a company is looking for. And the tell me about a time when questions that you may be asked are looking for your soft skills and how you are competent in those soft skills. So let's do one example together, using the START framework so that you have a sense of how to best structure your stories based on that story brain dump exercise that you just did. As a reminder, we are going to use the START framework to help you get specific about your story and demonstrate your competency. In the same way you should aim to be specific in your resume bullet points and quantify your results and demonstrate your impact, that's what we're going to do with structuring your story and answering the question here. So let's say you're asked the following in an interview. Tell me about a time when you came up with a creative solution to a problem. Now let's quickly recap the START framework. The S stands for situation. What is a specific situation from your past in which you demonstrated this soft skill or competency that they are looking for? The T stands for task. What is the task at hand that you are trying to accomplish? When you're framing your story, you can usually combine the situation and task portion. Just think of it as teeing up your story and providing the necessary context that someone may need in order to follow along. Now, the A stands for action. This is where you describe what action or actions you took to complete the task. Again, get specific. What did you do? The R stands for results. What did you achieve? And what did you learn? Describe the outcomes of your actions and quantify them whenever possible. For example, how did you save time or increase productivity, save money, or raise money for a big fundraiser? And finally, the T stands for tie-in. If you're able to, tie your experience back to the company and how what you've done or learned is applicable to the role that you're applying for. Remember to think, what is the value to this company? So to give an example, a student answering, tell me about a time when you came up with a creative solution to a big problem. If they were to use the START framework to frame this answer, they might say, I was elected as the social chair of my sorority my sophomore year. This is a role typically reserved for juniors and seniors, but I was excited and up for the challenge of planning great events. Over the past 5 years, our sorority has shrunk quite a bit, and we're now the smallest chapter on campus. And we're at risk of dissolving if we don't build up our reputation and our membership quickly going forward. My first big assignment as social chair was to create an event that focused on building relationships with other sororities on campus in order to increase our visibility and our reputation as a chapter. Our goal is to be known to future recruits as the sorority that has the events that are not only fun, but add value. With value being the big goal, it was really important to me to create an event that went beyond the typical pizza and movie night or spa day. Those have been done way too many times before, and if they worked, we wouldn't be in this position as a chapter, fading into the background of Greek life on campus. However, during my brainstorm, I kept coming up short. I took a break from brainstorming to scroll through Instagram, like we do, and it was there that I had a light bulb idea. I saw a post from the student newspaper on the rapidly increasing crime rates in the off-campus housing neighborhoods. Well, sorority houses are situated in the crime zone, and I knew all of the sororities could benefit from some self-defense education. So that's exactly what I did. I created a sorority self-defense week, hosted by our chapter with an invitation open to all sororities on campus. To accommodate a large number of attendees, we ran multiple events throughout the week in partnership with local self-defense experts and campus police. Not only was Self-Defense Week a huge success in terms of attendance, we had 870 members across 15 chapters join us, which was about 75% of total sorority membership at the time. But our university recognized the event and asked me to join a student board on campus safety to share my insights and ideas for future campus-wide self-defense events. As social chair, I was able to increase visibility and value as a chapter on campus, and our membership has grown 20% year over year in the 2 years since I was elected for this position. I learned a lot from creating and running Self-Defense Week, and I know the skills that I developed in planning, communication, and leadership will prove beneficial in organizing team building events for the company if I were selected as an intern on your people operations team. All right, so hopefully that example was helpful, and you can see how extracurricular experience as a student can be used to tell specific stories and demonstrate your competency and impact during an interview. Now, you don't have to be in a sorority to have a story to tell. There are so many different extracurriculars and educational opportunities that you can pull from in order to tell these stories. If you need to, go back to that story brain dump where I gave you the prompts so that you can do that exercise and come up with stories of your own from your own experience. Now, I mentioned if you stuck around to the end of this video, I would share a bonus tip with you to help make answering these interview questions even easier for the future. My tip is to keep a journal of all of your experiences in real time. So go back to the prompts that I shared earlier, and as you gain new experiences, take the time to write them down in your journal as specific examples and stories. This will make it so much easier as you interview in the future because you have this journal of stories that you captured in real time that you can pull from. You'll be so glad that you did this. Regularly documenting your experience in a journal is something that I stress the importance of doing in your internships and jobs. I have an entire video on this, including exactly what I recommend you document, and I will link it for you here and in the description so that you can check it out next. If you found all of the tips in this video helpful and you want to receive weekly internship tips and inspiration from me going forward, then be sure to sign up for my free email newsletter at theinternhustle.com. I've included a direct link to sign up here and in the description as well. And please share with a friend, share with some of your classmates. Any way we can get the word out and help more students just like you ace their interviews and get those internships, the better. That's the goal. So go pull together your story brain dump and good luck at your interviews. Is there a particular interview question that has stumped you in the past? Let me know in the comments. And here's another interview prep video that I recommend you check out. Thanks for watching. If this video gave you some new insights today, please give it a like and share it with a friend or two. Hit that subscribe button below so that you don't miss out on future videos. In support of your hustle, I'm Jenna from theinternhustle.com, and I'll see you next Monday.